For years, dairy has been considered among the healthiest food types we can consume. But on this week's edition of Today's Health, we find that according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, many families are now taking dairy out of their diets. Bianca Castro reports.
He loves broccoli.
Anna Taylor is careful about what she feeds 2-year-old Christian because she's always known dairy causes problems.
I have an intolerance to lactose, and my mother does.
But now a mom herself, she jumped headfirst into research on whether anyone really needs dairy in their diet.
The research I've done, it causes different symptoms like discomfort, bloating.
Leading her to one conclusion.
It's just not worth it.
Studies show about 25% of American adults are lactose intolerant, meaning they've lost the enzymes needed to break down the sugar in milk. And that could be why,
That's in milk?
according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Americans on average drink 37% less milk today than they did back in 1970.
We're the only species or animal that's drinking another animal's milk.
Look, it's glass.
But doctors say most young children are able to tolerate dairy, and some health experts question whether kids in dairy-free homes are missing out on key nutrition.
When you remove a food group, you're really removing the main source of nutrients that food group provides. So if it's milk, we're looking at calcium, vitamin D.
Registered dietitian Amy Goodson works with the dairy industry's new Milk Life campaign.
The calcium and vitamin D is really the most important part of what we look at, especially with growing kids, because that is going to be what helps them lay down bone.
But what about all these dairy-free alternatives? They claim to have same nutritional value as their dairy counterparts.
That can be a fine beverage choice, but not to be confused that it has the same nutrients, because the nutrient package is different when we compare cow's milk to some of the alternative milks or beverages.
But different or not, worldwide sales of non-dairy milk alternatives more than doubled over the last 6 years, according to market researcher Euromonitor.
It's so good. You should try this one.
And Anna finds other nutrition boosters to replace dairy.
You also have so many vegetables that have calcium. You have fortified orange juice. You have supplements.
Kick it, Bubba.
If you're looking for vitamin D, go outside for 15 minutes. Okay, buddy.
And puts her money where her mouth is.
We stop spending money at places that don't offer the alternatives.
For if you are what you eat,
We still have everything that you would have: milk, pizza, ice cream.
then there's no place at her dinner table for dairy.
Other health news this morning, children who don't get enough sleep may have a higher risk of diabetes. That's according to a new British study for over 4,000 9 and 10-year-olds. Researchers found kids who slept just 1 hour less a night weighed more and had higher levels of blood glucose and insulin resistance. They estimate increasing sleep time by just a half hour could lower the risk of type 2 diabetes later in life. Older adults with cancer and their caregivers may have differing opinions when it comes to the patient's health and physical abilities. Researchers at City of Hope National Medical Center in California surveyed 100 patient-caregiver pairs. Very often, caregivers said their loved ones had poorer physical function and mental health than the patients themselves did. This gap was largest when caregivers felt extremely stressed. That's it for this week's edition of Today's Health, and coming up on KPVI News Today, we take a look at your KPVI News Today headlines.